Could you imagine 95 years old and someone telling you that? What a bunch of crap. I'm pretty pissed off. Do you need or have a living will in Arizona? Well, then you need to watch this video. We're gonna show you 2 disturbing realities if a peaceful end of life is important to you. You may have seen what Uncle Sonny had to say about the work Go Gracefully is doing here with him in this video here. Well, I'm sorry to say, we lost him on Christmas Eve, but not in the way you're thinking. At Go Gracefully, we're always focused on the spiritual side of things when it comes to end of life. And that's why we were prepared for what happened on Christmas Eve when Hospice and the care facility he was in failed him. And sadly, they'll fail you too if you don't avoid these 2 pitfalls we're about to show you. What the hell am I doing up on this mountain? Well, I'm trying to get over this whole thing. It's very sad. Imagine losing the only family member you have left who's 95 and desperately could benefit from having someone in the family love him at the end of his life. So I'm climbing a mountain to get out here and commune with God. So in the case of my uncle, he got ruled by fear, which happens to people at the end of life. So instead of trusting a family member, he listened to an institution tell him that this was the spot for the best care that he could get, and that if that nephew of his keeps causing trouble, then he might have to find a new place. Could you imagine 95 years old and someone telling you that? What a bunch of crap. I'm pretty pissed off at Christian Care Cottonwood, Arizona. I'm pretty pissed off at Maggie's Hospice. These people are supposed to honor the will of the individual. They're supposed to keep true to the fact that the person, once they're doped up, no longer really speaks for themselves. The power of attorney does. These are important lessons, people. If you got a loved one with a power of attorney, they're not in your home and in your care, you could end up like this, kicked out of the facility. Hospice won't even talk to me. Why? Because I insisted that they honor his living will and stop giving him so much morphine. First, let's talk about the importance of a living will. Arizona is the state where my uncle created his living will, but the information I'm about to share with you applies to all 50 states. If you need help creating a living will, you don't have one already, on the services page of Go Gracefully, we have a link that'll help you create a living will in any of the 50 states for under $40. So you'll see the importance of this document as we continue this video. Uncle Sonny's will was very specific with respect to pain. He did not want opiates unless he was in severe pain. He didn't really want any mind-altering medications. And he expressed this to me on multiple occasions verbally, and it was written in the legal document. Whatever you decide is a good idea, as long as you decide it with all of your heart and you know it's what you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'd like to try the lower opiate. I think I could control that because I know how dangerous it is.
I gotta honestly say, in the 3 months I was with him, his pain never was above a 6 on the 10 scale. And I always was able to relieve it with some guided meditation or some massage or some alternative therapy. Oftentimes I would ask him after 15 minutes of massage, "How you feeling now, Uncle?" And his answer would be, "I feel great." But that's not what board and care facilities do. And when I saw the facility he was in start to give him medications like Haldol in the middle of the night to help him sleep, that's a serious antipsychotic drug. I noticed the opiate doses would go up. They discontinued the mild opiate and in favor of morphine. So I spoke out. That was my job, to speak out on his behalf. Unfortunately, due to internal policies and procedures, these facilities are sometimes constrained, unable to honor the person's wishes at end of life because they just can't do it. The facility my uncle was in had over 20 rooms, 2 people to care for all those patients. There's no time for massage or guided meditation, I assure you. You might have noticed that I've been referring to my uncle in the past tense, and that's the real sad part here. Within hours of me making a big stink about them not honoring his living will, I told the director of the care facility that if they cannot honor what he's written down, then they need to change the living will if they can get him to be mentally clear enough to do so himself. Well, doped up on morphine and haloperidol, he signed a new living will within hours of me making that statement. And of course, I no longer had any say at all. And then the director of this facility, with the support of Hospice, told him that I was disruptive to his well-being, and his only living relative was taken out of the picture. Don't think this can't happen to you. If an assisted living center is in your future and hospice, it's definitely on the radar. So here's what you need to know. As concerns a medical power of attorney kicking in, that usually requires a physician to state that the patient is mentally incompetent. And in most situations, once a patient is on hospice and under the care of a facility, they will probably never see a physician again, which is the case with my uncle. So he didn't have a physician to come in and say, oh yeah, he's high on morphine, he's high on haloperidol, he can't change his living will. So they changed it, and I would have to go to court and argue against that, which I'm not doing. I've been here for 3 months out of the goodness of my heart to love this man, and if he doesn't want me in there anymore, then that's it. Climbing this mountain is a good metaphor for a situation with Uncle, because I wanted to get to the top, which is way up there. So instead, I came to the dreaded ice cave. Dun, 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 dun. Pretty cool, though. So you see, there's beauty even in a disappointing result. Have a close look at this. So I told you I'd tell you about 2 pitfalls, and it's not hospice and care facilities, because those will change depending on where you are. The 2 pitfalls, the first one relates to modern medicine and our ability to relieve pain in an instant. You see, most people today are more afraid of pain than they are of dying, because we live in a world where in just a few seconds you can feel relief, which is quite tempting, but we forget about the side effects. The loss of mental clarity, constipation, irritability, inability to sleep. The list goes on. So, how did we die before opiates? Well, certainly people suffered, but they also used alternative therapies. People were honored at end of life. There was massage, there was herbal remedies, and let's not forget acupuncture, which is still being used all over the world today. Another thing is there was a lot of mental and emotional preparation for end of life. It was viewed as a rite of passage, a sacred time. People were prepared for this. Today, a lot of people don't even think about it. They just end up in a facility and they go, give me drugs. Do you want that to be you? I don't. Am I saying that modern people are cowards? Well, that's for you to answer. But I can tell you one thing. My uncle wasn't a coward when he wrote these words. I wish to die naturally with minimal interventions. Please minimize the use of opiates and other mind-altering medications unless I am in severe pain. Well, folks, severe pain in most medical environments is 8, 9, or 10 on the 10 scale. And not once was my uncle ever above a 6. The second downside or pitfall is the bureaucracy involved. Institutions like assisted living centers are governed by huge volumes of regulation. They have their own internal policies they must comply with, and of course, they have to make money. As a hospice volunteer for the past decade, I've sat in many homes of dying patients, and I've seen what hospice brings. It's called a comfort care kit, and it includes all the drugs and more that we've mentioned here today. And these drugs are in the control of the family, and the family can then decide to honor the patient's wishes. It's not controlled by bureaucracy. It's not controlled by procedural dictates. If the family's wise enough to obtain the services of an end-of-life doula, they will also benefit from all that added wisdom and support, including an extra person present during that difficult time. But the key point is that bureaucracy is eliminated. It's in the comfort of one's own home, which is the way most people say they want to die. And speaking of dying, I've gone well up above the ice cave, and I'm encountering vertical walls all around. Let's see if I can safely negotiate this boulder field right here. Yeah, looks doable. It's a long way down. Now, the reward, right up there. Let's do it. I've never really been one to enjoy heights, but hello, Flagstaff. And this isn't even the top. You gotta love Arizona. What a state of contrasts. All right, let's sit down and finish this video for you guys. When this loving and in-home supportive care is contrasted with what my uncle received, it's a stark reminder that it's only gonna get worse as the baby boomer generation ages. If you want to avoid this situation, carefully plan for your end of life, fill out a living will in Arizona, have it notarized, have it witnessed, whatever you need to do to make it legal, and then make sure that other people are aware of this document besides just you if you're the only living relative. If you want to avoid these two particular care agencies, I've created a link in the description where you can read the reviews that I've written on the internet. I imagine this type of behavior is not specific to these two facilities, but it was so egregious that I figured the public needs to know about it. So, God bless you all, and remember, go gracefully. Hi, I have an update. This morning I got a call from Uncle Sonny's good friend, and she informed me that Uncle passed away in the early hours this morning, Monday, January 13th, 2020. I asked her how he went, and she told me that his favorite nurse, who is not a nurse, caregiver, checked on him in the early hours of the morning, and he was doing fine. And then when she checked on him again a few hours later, he was gone. Uncle Sonny did die alone without a family member there. And it really, really, truly breaks my heart. And I just don't want this to happen to anyone else. You guys can figure this out. You can plan your living will. You can set up your end-of-life plan, which we've talked about in other videos. And you can get it done the right way. In our family, we believe that life goes on. And one day I will meet up with him again, and all this will be straightened out in some fashion or another. So, this video is dedicated to Edward Milton Barber III, my mother's brother, my uncle, the great uncle to my children, and a beautiful, eccentric man.